Howdy folks, how is everybody doing? Brunick here. We're going to do some Path of Exile. Now, we're doing things a little different than most people. Oh wow, that fire is doing weird things in my shirt over here. That's fun. So, we're going to come in here into Path of Exile. Now you guys see that I have some characters started here. But I found that so many people don't understand Path of Exile at all. Like, they do not get the basic concepts that you would expect when it comes to Path of Exile, how it works, all of those fun things. To help with all of this, and to make sure that I get as much information as possible, what I want to talk about everything from the beginning as if you know nothing. So, if you do know a bunch, skippity-doo on down, okay, and you can start to see kind of what we're building. You don't know. Here we're going to go over everything so that you can have a basic understanding of what's going on. First, we're going to go into character creation, okay? Let's discuss what this is so that you understand. This is the normal Path of Exile game, and then these two are the new leagues that come out basically once a quarter, 4 times a year. Inside of the leagues, what happens is Grinding Gear Games, people who make this, say, hey, I wonder what would happen if we did this. And they try some new mechanic. Sometimes it's fantastic. Sometimes it's forgettable. Really just kind of depends, but that's the entire point. That means this game mode is rotating. And that means it will fall over in a couple of months. If you're not dedicated to getting through your run, probably don't want to start here. Start with the base game. Yes, you'll miss out on the newest mechanic, but it's fine. Okay, I promise. Now let's talk about what the different modes are here. Hardcore. Most people are familiar with this in an action RPG. Hardcore simply means if you die, you're dead. You dead. All your stuff is gone. You're nothing. Now, anything you have in your stash will obviously carry on to your next character. Solo self-found. Now, this is my most common way of playing. Basically, you can't group with people. You can't trade with people. You are a completely solo character. Now, there is a very robust trading system in this game. You can go online and see what people have in their stash tabs and all kinds of crazy stuff. I typically don't like dealing with that. Mostly because I want to go through and I want to see what I can accomplish. Now, that is not a right or wrong answer. I know a lot of people who say, if you're playing solo self-found, why are you even playing the game? You're not contributing to the economy, you're not doing blah, blah, blah. Rule number 1 in playing a video game. If you're listening to somebody else tell you how to have fun, you're already making a mistake. I'm here to tell you different ways you can play, and then we'll go through and figure out, if you want to talk about it, what might be a better setup for you. Now, hardcore and solo self-found are all options that are checkable, and so is ruthless. Let's talk about ruthless. Okay? I love ruthless playthroughs. However, they are not good for tutorial playthroughs. What ruthless basically does is it kicks all of your loot tables down to next to 0. The odds of you even having magic items when you go to face the first major boss are actually pretty slim. So Ruthless is for that. I know this game backwards, forwards, and sideways, and it's too easy. And if you're ever feeling that way, spin you up a Ruthless character, and that'll be the end of that discussion. You will no longer feel that way. But so another key example is skills that you would normally get in the game you cannot get in Ruthless mode unless they happen to drop. So Ruthless and Solo Self-Found together make it a real challenge. And if you want to top hardcore onto that, feel free, but just be warned, you're going to have a tough time. Now, most of the time when we start a new league, that's what Brunick does. Solo self-found, ruthless, hardcore. Let's frickin' go. Do I ever complete the entire game in that? Absolutely not. Do I have a blast the entire time? Yes. Yes, I do. So if your satisfaction is tied directly to, ooh, I want to get all of this way through all the story and through maps and up to tier 17 maps, probably don't do what I'm doing. Okay? If you want to enjoy and explore, that's more what we're about here. So we are going to go into hardcore. So that means if I die, I'm dead. And we're going to do solo self-found. That means no grouping, no trading. So going into here, my objectives are to push as far as I can. We're doing hardcore for one simple reason. I already have some solo self-found, and I don't want anything in my stash. This is a great way to be able to build that tutorial without. So, solo self-found, we're going to skip Ruthless. This is normally one of my favorite things to do, but again, very poor for teaching. So, hardcore solo self-found. Now, let's talk about character selection. The easiest way to think about this, skip everything you know about every other action RPG. Okay? There are 3 stats in this game. Strength, agility, and intelligence. Never done a hardcore run? Absolutely awesome. Look, hardcore is not for everybody, okay? You have to be okay with failing. If you're not, don't. If you're going to get pissed off and break your keyboard or whatnot, it's generally not worth it. So, let's talk about the different characters in terms of their stats.
Do you think you are savage enough to face the land of the damned?
Obviously, homie here is nothing but raw strength.
Yet still you clasp
okay?
Superstitious lies.
So, it's very important to talk about...
Yet you wasted your strength.
Come on, Dominus. You can be done now.
Rayclast offers you something else.
I probably won't click on the rest of them.
Education in true savagery.
So, it's very important to understand this character base is strength. Pretty easy to see. You can take this character and make them into a necromancer. Or make them use a wand or a bow. And you can do so efficiently and effectively. It's a little harder to do, but it's doable. So you have to figure out what your basic concept is and your basic idea is, and then start to run it up that way. So, strength is our brute here. Agility is our lady friend back here with the bow. And intelligence is the witch over here in the corner. Now, obviously, they specialize in things that make sense. You have ranged attacks and poisons. You have magic blasts of all kinds, and you have beat things with a hammer. Things get a little more interesting when you start mixing stats. So, this is strength and intelligence. This is dexterity and intelligence. This is strength and dexterity. I don't remember if it's dexterity or agility. Oops. Same basic principle in this instance. And then you have your Scion here, who is a mix of all of the above. Again, you can make anyone into anything. It's just, do you want to take the time, the energy, and the points to do that? Now, we are going to start with the Templar.
And the Order of the Templar. For years, you built a life upon faith, only to smite it asunder with one sinful blow.
With your Templar,
and is that not
you're going to have a good mix of strength and intelligence as a baseline. Okay?
You were once the chosen of God, a Templar. You are now the
chosen of Rayclast
and
Exile. So, this is where we're going to start. Please note that dead hardcore characters cannot be restored for any reason, including game bugs or internet lag. Are you sure? Yes, I'm sure. So, there'll be a lot of adapting and overcoming. Now, I have a concept of kind of what I'd like. and we'll kind of see what happens from there.
You and I, we're the only ones that made it to shore. Alive, anyway. Looks like you found something you can defend yourself with. Good. This place is crawling with criminals.
Including
Smoke
us.
rising just east of here. Could be worth checking if there's...
You got ate by a zombie. Okay. When you kill your first zombie, it drops you an item gem. There are reasonable tutorials here. I'm going to kind of give you my own version. Now, this is important. Okay? Instead of you having a skill tree full of skills for your character, instead, there are hundreds, if not thousands, of skill gems that get socketed into sockets of weapons. They can easily be removed and put back. The colors of the sockets tell you everything you need to know. The things that go in here are strength-based gems. The things that go in here are intelligence-based gems. And I think it's either yellow or green for agility or dexterity. Too many from what I remember? Yes, there are a lot. So, the good news is, if you're a number cruncher, this game goes hard to let you know exactly what you're dealing with. Okay? Everything from your mana costs all the way down to percentages to basic stats. Everything about this is here, easy to understand, even if it's more complicated than you want to understand. All right? So as soon as you slot a skill, it comes here. You can move it anywhere you want. Personally, I prefer to leave my first skill here, no matter what it is. I also like moving my mini-map here. It's an old habit from playing Diablo 2. Now, regular clicking, obviously, action RPG. All right. What's been my favorite build you've ever done? So it's something I'm going to replicate to some degree here. I'm not somebody who ever reads build guides, ever. Every single season I can remember, it's been literally whatever I have come up with. But my favorite is to take the Templar and basically to make a commander who, instead of being a witch where you're sitting in the back and you are throwing minions at the enemy, I am throwing myself at the enemy, and my zombie companions and everything else are attempting to keep up. Now, there is a node that makes this very viable, but it is very far away from where you start. Oops. We're going to pretend like I'm actually landing those, and I'm not a doofus. So I would say the Commander Templar, at least that's what I call it, is probably the closest. But again, I find, and I run into this in many video games, okay? My favorite example is like TFT, or Teamfight Tactics. There are guides aplenty all over the internet for what's best and what to play and all this other nonsense. I find I enjoy the game less when I read guides. Here, I want to do some discovery. I want to figure out what works and what doesn't work for myself. Oh, I forget. I'm not playing on... When you play on Ruthless, this chest with that support gem doesn't go here. So let's take just a second and discuss support gem. Okay? These are very important. First of all, when you look at them, they read support. And everywhere you go in all the skill menus, you'll be able to search for support. Supports any skill that hits enemies. So, if the skill actually does something to impact enemies directly, or could otherwise apply elemental ailments. So, if you have minions that are applying elemental ailments, this will work for that. If you have skills that are doing elemental things, this works for that. We have something called Glacial Hammer. It's an attack, it's a strike, and it does cold damage. So, enemy elemental ailments inflicted by support skills spread to other enemies, meaning you get some AoE. Support skills have a 20% extra chance to freeze, shock, or ignite, depending on which one they're trying to do. Also, you'll notice I am collecting over here. We'll go ahead and swap this one out. Now, why did I swap this one out? They're essentially the same, except for the sockets. You will see me put on inferior gear for superior sockets and links of those sockets. Now, notice these two right here. These are not linked together. That means if I put a skill here and a support here, nothing will happen. These are linked. I put a skill here, a support here. When I hover over this, you'll see the blue one light up too. That tells you it's working successfully. Okay, if they're not linked, that can't happen. I won't say that your socket linking is the most important thing, especially not on hardcore. However, it does directly gate how much you can do with your skills and does kind of change things just a little bit.
It would seem my god has no need for my company just yet.
All right, we have leveled up. We will go do that in a second. I have absolutely no reason whatsoever to use that skill point at the moment. Well, but it also depends on how much of a negative you're taking. Like, you kind of have to think through that. If you're adding 10% damage, but you're losing half of your armor to do so, probably not worth. Oh, of course, I've missed one of you. Thankfully, he's slow. Just move away from the hand he's using to swing, and you're good. Away from the hand he's using to swing. Come on, Brunick. See, extra chance to freeze. He's not even got to swing that thing yet. He's working on it, though. Oh. We'll just go ahead and stand here and tank him. We have the healing potions for it. There we go. Aha! Everything fit. Okay. Now, we get into town for the first time. And we are good to go. You'll notice all the people lit up in town want to talk to us. Obviously, we're just here.
I know you, the blasphemer. That's what my father called you. God
Now,
saw fit to
all
drown
of this
you
is story
more
for
than
the
anyone
Templar.
else I ever loved.
I will tell
I
you,
wonder what fate- Lion Eyes watch
the
you.
story is very much worth going through once, maybe even twice. I encourage you to listen to it and to enjoy it and relax. I've been playing this for 6 or 7 years now, so I won't stay too much for all the story unless I know there's a particularly interesting bit going on. All right, what are we working with here? So, one of the things that we're getting here is a set of rewards. A skill that we can use. Now, there is nothing in this mode stopping you from taking whatever skill you want, then go buying others. Personally, I'm going to grab Smite over here.
Stay sharp out there.
We're going for kind of a paladin feel. Might as well have Smite in our back pocket here. Oh, they need to be identified. I'm like, why are these not on? Okay. Take that. We will probably swap to this as well. A little bit of armor versus some extra energy shield. Energy shield is this little barrier you see over my health bar. At this stage, having armor versus not doesn't matter nearly as much. Yeah, we're not going to identify this because I want to hold that scroll. All right, so we are selling everything that's not on our person because I'm confident that I don't necessarily need it. Now, it's important to note, there is no gold in this game. Anything that you trade, you're trading for materials to build something or to do something else. So, as we get those kinds of materials, we'll talk about it.
While we live, we are blessed.
Ah, our stash. I forgot, it's not set up because I haven't used this particular piece just yet. Now, this is one of the ways that the company who makes Path of Exile actually makes money. When you start, you either start with 4 or 5 different stash tabs. Then, you can go in here, and you can buy extra stash tabs. Once you've bought them, they're yours forever. Okay? Let's see here. The cool thing is, you have things like gem stash tabs. This will hold all of your skill gems. And sort them, and do all kinds of cool stuff. And they typically don't have a limit to them. So when you get things like this currency tab, these are the different currencies we're talking about. If you're going to buy something, please buy this. You will thank me later. Okay? You will appreciate spending a little money and having this. Yeah, it really is. So let's look at how we deal with those. Now I'm going to grab tab 8. We can see that's what I've selected here. This is the currency one. We're going to grab it, move it all the way over here. I tend to call this cash money. Now, under affinities, currency, if I click this, what it means is I know that this holds any crafting materials, basically. All 3 of these things will go over here. If I come over to this tab, remember, we're not on the currency tab. If I'm over here and I have an affinity selected, I hold Control and click. That went away. It didn't go up here. It went here. So I no longer have to sort these or go to the right tab. They just automatically go where they're supposed to go and sort themselves. So as an example, I have this one that is for uniques. We will click this affinity here, hit go. Now, any unique that we manage to collect, when we go to drop it in the tab, it will auto shift to that tab where it belongs. Just as an example. All right, now, let's talk about the thing that scares people out of Path of Exile. Okay? It is this monstrosity. This is the skill tree, boys and girls. Okay, this is everything that you can do with your character. Now, these little wheels you see here are the different characters that you saw at the beginning. See how my guy, my Templar, is here with his little club up in the air? This is where I start. If you go up here, this is where the witch starts. Notice there's no dividing line here. I can go all the way over to her starting area and grab her very first set of skills. This is where the thief starts, or the dexterity and intelligence. This is all dexterity. This is strength and dexterity. And then this is just strength. So they even try to position them correctly. And then the Scion starts here. Now, if you look, we have 23 strength, 34 intelligence, and 14 dexterity. Any other character that you have will have different stats according to what gear you're wearing, what you got going on, all that fun jazz. Now, remember, our objective here is going to be a commander on the front lines, basically buffing up our minions and having our minions buff us up. Now, there is a single point on this tree I am aiming for that is over here. Spiritual aid. Increases and reductions to minion damage also affect you. So very early in my tree, minions deal 10% increased damage, 10% increased damage, 10% increased damage, 15% increased minion damage. And then all of these skill points over here, minion damage, minion damage. We will get ridiculous amounts of damage added to our damage for getting to that point. And then, from that point forward, we can focus on defense so that we don't instantly die, and minion offense, meaning buffing up our minions and making sure that they're doing more damage because that'll allow us to do more damage. That's the basic principle and the basic idea. We will probably be in relatively heavy armor, shield, all that fun stuff, because we'll be in melee. Again, I kind of going for a paladin vibe here. Sometimes I'll do staff, just kind of depending. Right now, I'm liking scepter and shield a little bit better. It feels a little cleaner right now, especially on hardcore where getting one shot is a problem. So, we're going to go ahead and put in our first skill point right here because we want to get these nodes. Minion damage, and our damage too. If you're struggling to survive, there are all kinds of increases here. Maximum life and mana, armor and energy shield. You can go any direction you want. This is the direction I'm going. I will be coming up here. I will be dipping down just a little bit into these because they're slightly defensive. Elemental resistances, elemental damage, extra free shock and ignite, extra health, a little bit of defense on our way to finish up our offense. And that'll get us to the first 20 levels or so, give or take. So we went ahead and put this point in, and we're good to go. Now, this right here is not normally here. This guy is what's starting the new system for settlers. Basically giving you a town building thing. So we're going to go visit King's March. Again, there's a wonderful story here. I recommend letting the story happen. So here we are.
I'm glad you decided to join us.
But I've already done this 5 or 6 different times now.
Return soon, yes?
Welcome to King's.
It's also important to note, this is actually very important. This town that you have is account wide. So if this character dies in the next 5 minutes, the character that comes to replace him, this town will already be somewhat done up. All the things that I do here will stay with the account.
Next, you should familiarize yourself with our recruit.
Yes, yes.
I'll handle things here. Oh, yo.
So the basics of how this works is you have this town. You can build buildings. You can hire employees. Yes. Well, okay. I said account wide. Let me make sure that I specify a little clearer. Account wide for, so I'm playing solo self-found hardcore. Any character I create that is solo self-found and hardcore will get this town again. If I change that mode, I start over. Or that mode starts over. So right now I have some regular settler, solo self-found. And the same is true with your stash, too. That's important. If this character dies right now, these things become available to the next one. So you'll see me picking up gear to put in the box that maybe I could use, maybe I can't. But most importantly, it'll be when I die, and I will, what do I need for the next run? All right, so it wants us to improve the town, establish the ability to recruit things, 5 gold. We picked up gold when we killed the first bad guy. I think it was 12. Poof.
I got plenty more eager to sign up. Eager to sign up.
They really should fix that. So the next improvement will cost 15 gold and 5 or a chalcum ore. I'll explain what all those are as we go through and do this, but that'll let us do farming, smelting, and runesmithing. Recruits have job specialties up to rank 2. All that fun jazz. Yeah, it will be there. So this gave me 30 gold as a reward for finishing the quest. Now we go to town recruitment,
To hire.
and we see these different people that are here. So they are rank 1 mining, rank 1 mining. These two guys are equal. This one costs 18 gold. This one costs 32. Guess which one we're hiring?
Great.
Okay, and they're both 7 gold an hour. So we recruited somebody. Cool.
The last thing we need to discuss.
So right now we don't have anything to manage in the town. I'm going to go ahead and deposit this gold so that if my character dies,
Timely infusion.
still 22 gold in the thing. Oops.
These beginnings may seem. March with
Return
us
soon.
in King's March.
Okay, so he's going to want me to come over here. I think I need to establish a mine first.
Oh,
Why is it sending me over here first?
Oh, good. Name's Tujin. I'm the harbour master around here.
Tujin.
Not much to master, if you catch my drift. Could use some investment in our docks and shipping.
So this is the loot of this particular game mode, is using the harbor. So we don't have any kind of ore or anything of that nature, so we can't really invest yet. We're going to come over here to the mining area and see if we can get it up and running first. Aha, we have the gold. Perfect. Now, we're going to go to the mining information, and we are going to assign our worker to this. Now, anytime we open up a node using this game mode, our guys will automatically go there. They will acquire up to 60 ore per hour, depending on how much is available, and they will charge me 7 gold per hour. I think we put 22 in the thing. So, it's not costing me anything right now because they're not doing anything.
We are now
It's important.
in a position to build mining infrastructure.
I just did that.
I'll handle things here.
So, we're going to go ahead and add that gold here. Oof.
A timely infusion.
Now we have 37. Sweet. Now, if you don't do that, when you open up a mining node, nothing will happen. We're going to switch over from... We are going to put Glacial Hammer in here. Now, this is a skills tab. We're going to pop it in here. I forgot to set up the affinity for this. Skill gems. Now, anytime I have a skill gem and I drop it, poof. Now remember, it's very important that when you get skill gems, you put them in here because you never know on hardcore when you're going to need something new.
yes?
So this is the most painful time in this build. The reason is because it's very difficult to keep your frickin' zombies alive. Right, they're blue slotted. And I have them set to mouse button 5. But they will become your staple.
My nightmares, they were prophecy.
Kill a zombie to gain a zombie. And a fresh mana flask. Love that. Now, on hardcore mode, I cannot encourage you enough. If you are playing hardcore for the first time, do not get in a hurry. But Brunick, time is money. I get that. And if you have to restart your character over again because you were being a silly goose and you bit off more than you could chew, that's going to cost you a lot more time than just being a little slower. So, don't be in a hurry. Or if you are, be ready for failure. Repeatedly. Oh, yeah. Well, especially when it's only because you were in a hurry. You know, if it just happens, it happens. You will have deaths and you're like, well, that sucked. You know, that's just part of it.
My mana is spent.
Alright, we're summoning our zombies, and this is the medal that we were coming to get anyway. Woo! Okay, we gotta watch this chick. This chick has killed more of my hardcore characters than I think almost any other boss, just because the fire burning when you're not paying attention. It's such a low level, you're really not paying attention. Alright, we'll grab that shield. And we're going to stick to the skill points we've been doing. Extra damage, extra mana. Now, the way this node works is you click on the center here and it starts spawning things. You kill the spawner, and each of these nodes will be a little different. Each of the types of nodes is a little different. So you see this little pulsing Venus flytrap looking thing here and here? Those are your nodes. When you kill one, the other one gets stronger. Be very careful here, because any minions that come out of that one will also be stronger. And, most importantly, because I tried to game this, whichever one you kill first, the other one heals to full. So splitting your attention doesn't do any good. Focus on one, bring it down, then focus on the other one. Not too difficult. We're a little ahead of the power curve here. 6 ore. Now notice our guy came and started mining immediately. We're going to grab these shoes. Ooh. And this gnarled branch. So, this was a valuable pickup. I'll show you why here in a moment. Basically, these 3 sockets are the 3 primary colors, and they are linked together. This will sell for something different than everything else in your inventory will sell for. You will get a chromatic orb for that, which isn't very valuable to you at the beginning, but you cannot have enough of those. And once we get back to town, I'll show that to y'all and explain it. So if you see something laying on the ground and it has those 3 sockets and they're done like that, pick it up. You'll want it. Now, the other reason I tell you not to be in a hurry, you need levels. You need levels desperately. Oh, and when you're first starting to play, pick up everything. You'll notice me being a little more selective. Just pick it all up and sell it. You're going to want the... Oh, chromatic orb. Nice. That's what our staff will turn into. Ooh, 3 sockets. You're going to want the scraps to sell. That one's a big item, so I'm not picking it up because I don't have a ton of room in my inventory. And I know that shield specifically is massive. I'm trying to stick to items that have a small footprint or are more valuable, like magic items. Now, we're going to run back over here. Go back into town. Space management isn't too bad once you learn what the different things do. Alright, now we're going to come over here and sell our items. I will keep this. We'll see about identifying that. Now, remember how I mentioned everything that you sell is 1 scroll fragment. If I take away this scepter, we go from 3 fragments to 4. That's all it's worth. These transmutation shards are from a magic item. This one right here. If I take it away, they go away. Magic items that are unidentified are worth less than magic items that are identified. So you have to make the judgment call whether or not you have scrolls to burn on getting more out of that. Later on, you'll have hundreds of scrolls. Early on, that's going to be a struggle. So we have this. This is not going to be better than this under any stretch of the imagination, so we're going to go ahead and sell it as is. That brings our transmutation shards up a little bit, which just turn into this when there's 20 of them. And then you'll notice when we do this gnarled branch, instead of getting a 5th fragment, we get this chromatic orb. This lets you change the colors of sockets on an item. So you use it. So let's say this is yellow and blue. Or I don't know if it's green or blue. Y'all will learn very quickly I'm colorblind. The patterns on these is how I recognize them. That's why the patterns are on there. If I'm not happy with the sockets, I like their layout, I like their linking, but I'm not happy with the color, that's what chromatic orbs are. Unfortunately, at that, it's still random, so... Right, we have 4 scrolls of wisdom, plus 1 that's built here, and more fragments.